Welcome, everybody, even if you're not there. Welcome, everybody. I have big things to tell you. And one of them is that I'm deciding to change my life. I have too much. There are too many things I do. And I can never really feel finished with something. And it happened because Kenny meditates. And I love the way he could zero in on something and come up with an answer. And I said to him, Kenny, I'd like to learn to think like you do. And I began to meditate. And the funny thing is, when you meditate, you zero in on one item. You don't have stuff floating around. And I wanted to paint today, but I just didn't want to, because in order to paint, I would have to clean out the two little cups and squeeze out more paint and clean an area which I should have cleaned earlier. So I decided I'm going to do charcoal. But I couldn't find the charcoals. But I found my pencils. And I said to Kenny when he came in, Kenny, because of our tree, which we'll show you again, I need to do something alive. Something with wood in it. I don't want to work from pictures, ever. And Kenny said, that's no problem. And he came out with this. Kenny, can you point to it? Mm-hmm. And I began to think, it's too much. It's like my life. It's filled with obligations. I didn't answer this person, and I don't know if that person heard me, and I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings by not answering. How do I cope with life? I'm asking for more than I can give, and I've been finding out from just about all my friends, they're overburdened. Because we have machines to do things for us, we don't feel right about anything that comes just from us. And the only answer I could think of, let me go back to pencil for a while. I can handle pencil because it's one item and one eraser. So, here's what I do. My life is huge. There are so many things I want and do. So I took the biggest piece of drawing paper I have, and I decided I'm going to pick one item only one, and really see it. And so I took my HB, which is so gentle that I can erase and do anything. And I'm going to pick this little bit of the vastness. The stem is little and gentle. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Okay. And from it comes another one. And then comes a third. But it's not too much because it's gentle. And these little balls, because Kenny brought this in, I don't know where he found it in my yard. But it's like, my yard is like my life. It has everything in it. And I have to learn, in order to get what everything is, to see only it.
Am I blocking you?
You're perfect. Can they see it?
They sure can.
Because I see so much
that
writing.
they don't see that, yeah.
Can we get rid of the writing?
We can.
Yes. Yes. In other words, we're going to control the too much. Because a pencil is like life itself. All you have to do is to give it freedom. You don't have to mix. And you don't have to think. You just have to look. The thing about meditation is there is a larger thing in the world than you. And Tammy and Tracy, if you remember what you once said to me that I can never forget, the universe knows who needs to be with somebody else. And in the strangest way, it brings them together. And how did I find the two of you? Kenny was busy teaching, and Greg said to me, "Would you come with me? There's going to be a really good board meeting. Come with me." And I did. And what they were doing, they were honoring Tracy. And Fanny. And I suddenly met a woman who was a lieutenant general. And her wife, who was he, and he changed my life. Because how could a woman in those days become a lieutenant general? And I asked her one day, "How did you do it?" And she said, and Tammy, please forgive me if you don't want me to say it. Then you shouldn't have said it to me. You said, I came from a small town and I needed the kind of education that I couldn't have gotten there. And so I joined the army, and it gave me the highest education, the best schooling. And I learned from her. It's always there. You just have to have the courage to ask. Now let me ask you something. Kenny, this wonderful gift you brought me from my backyard. Yeah. How did you know that I would love it?
Well, I brought you like 3 different kind of branches, so then you got to pick which one you wanted.
If any of you are suffering from too much, realize you don't have to use them all. They're only there because of the choices that we have. And as I'm drawing this, I'm loving it so much because I can stop anytime and do something else. But I love the tenderness. I love the tenderness of the curves. And I know it has nothing to do with the tree. but I just needed less.
I'm going to put the comments back for a minute just so that I can
I would
read
love
what they
the
say.
comments. Oh, how wonderful.
Yes. So, Lee says, looking good, Hetty. And Carol Hodkin is watching. Denise is watching. She said the sound is a bit low. I hope it's better now. Janine is watching. She says, hi, Hetty and everyone. Julie is watching. Susan Saft Steinberg is watching. She says, hi, Hetty and Kenny.
May I just mention something about Susan Saft? In Oceanside, she lived right across the street. Was it a street or was it just a sidewalk?
No, it was a street. It was Elliott Boulevard.
Oh. Susan.
And we called her Little Susie.
Little Susan. Little Susan, you once bit my dog. My gentle, beautiful little Susan. And the dog did not bite you back.
Kids. Beth Ruland is watching.
Hi.
Dina says, keeping things simple. This is going to be great. Watching you draw. We all just do the best we can. Love you. And Laura Silver is watching. And Kinha is watching. She says, hi, Hetty, Kenny, and friends.
Kinesco.
Love you.
Can I tell you the story of Kina?
Sure. Do you want me to finish reading, though?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Marcia Goldstein-Graber is watching. Laura says, love to you all. Marcia says, I'm mesmerized watching you, Hetty. Julie says, love you, Hetty and Ken. Love you back. Sharon K. Hitchin is watching. Okay, and I'm going to remove the comments so that you can see this.
Each of you are part of my life. I've learned from every one of you, but completely different things. You know, there is such magic in friendship. What is friendship? Somebody you meet affects a part of you that needed you. But if I would look at people and need them, I couldn't have the freedom. Marcia used to drive me because Marcia had a beautiful white car. And Marcia, I felt guilty because I couldn't give back. And one day she said something so beautiful that I became a giver. She allowed me to be a giver because she had something very beautiful in her life on a specific day, and the person who shared it is not alive anymore. So on that day, Marcia drove me, and I filled a void. And I think the miracle that she was able to understand that if you never give back, then you haven't had the full experience. And she allowed me to make my being there be important. You know, watch what happens when I add this little bit of darkness. 3 dimensions. But I keep it delicate. and then the wonderful joy of an accent. And he chose the tenderness of the stem. I don't have to draw all of this in order to have you understand it. I just have to pick an area and let it speak for everything. And I have to learn to do that with life. I have to learn to do only what is necessary.
Can you keep speaking? Because I think we got the mic working.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think we have a what?
The microphone working.
Oh, but that's nice.
It's very nice.
But you see, if you realize how many things exist in that little telephone, and that if we lose our telephone, we've lost the world because we stored everything in it. It used to be like a kitchen sink. You see, it's the accents that give me freedom. Watch another accent. If you make too many accents, it's like too much jewelry. And so I have to control it. Why do I have such a big piece of paper? Because it gives me freedom. Now, I need a different pencil. Because...
Folks, somehow, my phone is like a little wonky. I
Yes.
use a phone, so I've re-plugged it in, and this time it worked. So, yay, we have Hetty.
I want to say something else in relation to life and meditating. What if, in some very unique way, you and I create the world? Because everything you and I have done, and I mean a universal I, has affected somebody who then went out and acted with it. Every act we do has repercussions. And maybe some of you, after this, are going to fall in love with the simplicity of pencil. Now, my decision, something is going to cast a shadow. Let it be this one because it is in front. Because if I don't have shadows, it becomes bland. You know how rewards come. Most of you know the story that when I was 8 years old and Hitler came, and the world as I knew it, because I'm Jewish, ended, and it was supposed to be replaced by fear. And I did have fear, and it was justifiable. And look at this. Look at the beauty this pencil is now giving. If I would have used it before, it would have been lonely. But because I'm surrounding it, it belongs. And I realized what belonging is. And this weekend, we spent with family. When Kenny and Greg married, I inherited a wonderful family. We were in New Hope. Am I right, Kenny?
New Providence, New Jersey.
New Providence, New Jersey. And I needed a rest stop, a pit stop. And we stopped the car in a place which had restaurants. But we didn't want to buy anything because we didn't need anything. And above all, we didn't want to stop. And there was a wonderful lady named Sharon. And she stood there and said, "Do you want anything? Are you looking for something?" And I said so. And she says, "Oh, you can go into this restaurant." And I said, "No, I can't ask you to use the bathroom when I'm not going to stay and eat." And she said, "Come with me." And I was desperate enough to come. Sharon took me into this beautiful restaurant and said, "This lady needs the bathroom." And they said, "Oh, sure," and led me to it. And I thought to myself, God bless America. People are amazing. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to speak on Facebook on Monday night." And then my friend Dory, who's a computer genius, puts it on YouTube. So sometime after Monday, check Mondays with Hetty on YouTube. And I'm going to mention how wonderful you are. Because I don't know in how many countries you'd meet a Sharon who would just say, "We'll go into this fine-looking restaurant and use the bathroom."
You have some feedback if you'd like me to share it?
The what?
You have some comments if you'd like me to share
I would love it, but only if they look at what this accent is doing.
Oh, yes, I'm coming back to it.
Okay.
It really, Julie says, it really is like therapy watching you capture the world with simple pencil strokes. Then people were commenting on the sound, and then they were celebrating that we got it to work. And Dina says, "Friendship. When we think of you, we smile, because your smile lights up the world. The memories of our times together and our time now brings us so much happiness. Thank you, Hetty and Ken. Love to you both."
What a gift you just gave. What a gift you just gave.
That's our Dina.
A gift like this wonderful dark pencil. It's called Black 849. It's a Mongol.
And Dina says, "Ha, like too much jewelry. Your accents brought your drawing to life 3D-like." And Julie has a question.
Yes.
She says, "How do you decide what part of an object to draw first?" Wait, there's a little more.
It's a wonderful question.
There's a little more that she asks. She asks a few things. I'll just read it all to you first. Do you always draw work from foreground to background? And when you draw portraits of people, do you always start with the same part of the face, or does it vary by subject?
You know what? Have you ever noticed that your brain picks everything? If you're in a crowd of people, how come you remember just one? Then maybe two, maybe three, but there is something inside of us that draws us, that says this is for you. And with me, it was these little things, which are like little apples, because they're beautiful. Kenny says I have only 2 minutes left.
And I'm just going to read some more things that people said.
Yes.
Okay. Eileen said, I just want to tell you briefly that our friend Beth Ruland, whose name I mentioned, is here, and we consider her the queen of kindness. So similar to you, Hetty. Years ago, she gave me the bumper sticker I still have on my car. It says, "Be kind." Hetty, you would love her. Even though you haven't met, you are kindred spirits.
You know what?
So that's to Beth, who is here.
You're making me so happy.
And then there's more. Kinha says, I feel so comforted watching you draw. And we need this comfort now. And Denise says, I am so lucky to be able now to share this time with you. And Shirley Baker is watching.
Shirley Baker.
Oh my God, get this, Hetty. Sharon K. Hitchin is watching. Hetty, this is Sharon from New Providence. I found you.
You're kidding. Sharon.
You made my night on Friday. I was so happy to help you with such a simple thing.
It wasn't simple. It was a gift beyond compare.
Sharon, that's so awesome that you found her.
This is amazing. Think a minute of the miracle of these machines that allow thousands of miles of distance to become nothing. Look how pretty this is now. Why? Because I controlled the accents. Now I have to control my life by not wanting to do everything.
Now, I have a question for you. Are you going to work on this between now and when you speak to people again? Because next time you might be at a different location. You might be with Joni. I don't know for sure.
Are you speaking of the people whom I met, or the cherries which I'm doing?
No, you. Like, do you plan to draw this again next week? I don't know if that branch will live.
I'm going to ask them, because I was going to paint today, and I couldn't face the work getting the fresh paints out would be, even though I dressed for paint. Let me ask you, sooner or later, I'm going to do both. Should we let the day decide? Because I'm going to be here on Monday. But I'm having so much fun with this.
So we'll let the day decide.
Let the day decide. What if there is an inner voice, and if we listen, it works? There must have been somebody said, someday I'm going to fly. And they invented this huge 1 billion pounds of metal. And it flies. I think, you know what I think, and let me change the subject just for this. I think that each of us is so filled with talent if we're willing to work to bring it out. Talent hides in corners. And unless you give up and give to it a chunk of this time and a chunk of that time, it doesn't exist. It begs you to create. And look at this. I must go back to it. But in order to go back to it, let me just show you very quickly. It's late. Okay, it must have a reason. And the reason is right here. These connect. And they connect by a stronger stem. And if I can't finish it, don't worry, because I can't leave it alone. And I will work on it next week too. And Kenny says it's time to go. Could you read any more comments?
Let me see if there are any. No, that's the last one.
Kenny, let me tell them I love them.
Tell them.
Now Kenny's going to show me on my iPad the whole program. And I'm so glad that Sharon listened. Bye-bye, I love you. I can't talk because I'm busy.